Resolution by principal sponsor Alderperson David Bogdala, lead co-sponsor Alderperson Mitchell Peterson, co-sponsor Alderperson Rocco Lamacchia, senior co-sponsor Alderperson Dominic Ruffalo, co-sponsor Alderperson Kurt Wilson, and co-sponsor Alderperson Jan Mikulski, to update the City of Kenosha snow removal guidelines, including providing for snow fleet equipment review and updating the city's salting process during a full plow run.
Alderman Bogdala.
Excuse me, just point of order, Alderperson Steele checking in. I just got out of license and permit, so sorry to interrupt, but I'm on board now. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll note that.
Alderman Ruffalo's in too.
Thank you. Alderman Bogdala, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, just one addition as well. Alderman Jack Rose is also a co-sponsor. We had exchanged some email conversation and didn't get added before the packet was updated, but I want to thank him for his co-sponsorship. First of all, I'd like to thank the chairman. I'd like to thank him for very prompt hearing here. This was referred out Monday night at council. We're here tonight, so Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your support in that. Also want to thank all of the co-sponsors that we have to date. I think one thing it shows is that this is not an issue for one district, one alderman. This is an issue that cuts across the entire city and needs a review. Thirdly, I'd like to thank the administration, in particular, City Administrator Morrissey. I know I've had a number of conversations with him as well as the mayor, and their support of us moving forward. They recognize that there are some things I think that should have us take a look at. The last, as I said, the most major change review underwent was in 2016. And I think for those of you who were around back then, there were a number of things that I would have liked to have done back in 16, but in the spirit of compromise, some of those things at that time were said, well, maybe we'll come back to that later on, and we took care of some of the big things, and I was proud of that. It is better than what it was prior to 2016. But there's still a lot of room for improvement. As I think I'm not going to rehash all of my comments from last Monday, but I don't think I had more complaints on that Sunday storm than I did on the Groundhog Day storm 10 years ago. So if that tells you, where we are and where we need to get to, I think it's important. Next, I want to, hopefully everybody got a chance. I did email an updated version, should be version 5, that everybody received. I did have a chance to, last week, work with City Attorney's Office, and Ed Anaramian had proposed a variety of different, really wordsmithing changes and some things that probably made sense and written a little better than I did. And so we need to make sure that that's the one that I'm going to be pushing to support here tonight. The other thing is, as part of this review, we had initially talked about a date. I have talked to City Administrator, and we're looking to change that date. So in that version 5, right now that you all received today, it's to this committee is to have this review completed on or before March 30th. We're going to need a little bit more time to get all the information I think we need, particularly on the fleet side. And there's a whole variety of things surrounding that. But I have talked to the city administrator, and we're going to put down. I'm going to be proposing a new date, which is going to be August 30th of 2021. This will ensure that we get this in time. We can make any necessary changes to the policy, as well as ensuring that we have an adequate and a thorough review of the fleet, as well as headcount and all of those things before we get into budget season next year. Because I think there could be, as a result of this, and I would expect there's going to be some budget implications that we just need to take into account when we get ready for that for next snowfall event. So, so when we get to that point, Mr. Chairman, again, my motion is going to be to approve the version 5 with the one change, which is changing the date of a review from March 30th to August 30th, 2021. Just again, this is not a new phenomenon. When we look at how it's happening, I'm still getting, or have still gotten some people who still are expressing their displeasure in terms of how that was handled. Again, there were decisions made that I feel, I don't care what anybody says, were wrong. And we need to understand why those decisions were made and make sure that won't happen again. So I'm asking for this. I think it's sorely needed. We need to do a better job of ensuring that all of our constituents who pay the same amount of taxes, whether you live on a green street, a red street, or a no-colored street, they all pay the same level of taxes. They don't get a discount just because you live on a street doesn't have a color associated with it. And I think that unfortunately is what leads to some of the problems that we have. We also have issues that we're experiencing now where we get these little snow events of a half an inch or an inch. And you can go back and I actually did. I went back and reviewed the tape, and I was complaining about this back in 2016, that was one of the issues. And so you have snow events where you have these multiple little tiny snow events. Cars are driving on them. We're not salting them. We're not plowing them. And then you get what we're experiencing now is this cold weather. And you basically have a street that in many cases, in particular, this really impacts some of the newer areas, not just on the west side, but on the north side as well. We have these long curved streets that don't get salted. And now next thing you know, you got an ice rink. And it's just not safe. So we need to address that. And so I'm counting on the city administrator to complete that review. I have all the confidence in the world that he will do that. And we will have, I think, probably a better product that's going to be brought to this committee in August that we can review and hopefully approve a new snow removal guidelines. So, again, thank everybody for all their work in order to get here, and I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the committee that would like to speak on item 11?
Yes, Alderman Ruffalo would.
Yes, sir.
I got a ton of complaints last snowfall. Granted, at the airport it was an inch of, 12 inches of snow, but it seemed like the further west in the city, the worse the plowing got, and that is my district is 16th, which I proudly represent. The citizens of Kenosha demand their toilets to flush, the garbage to get picked up, and the streets to be plowed. And this committee is in charge of all three of that. So that's why I signed on to this today's recommendation here is a resolution. Something needs to be done. If nothing changes, nothing changes, and we definitely need some changes. I don't know if we need changes in leadership or changes in the amount of employees that plow, or equipment is outdated, or what. But we need to do something. So that's why I signed on to this. I don't ever want to have to go through another snowstorm like that again. They didn't plow their streets for hours and hours and hours, and by the time a plow went there, the plow got stuck. They had a foot of snow on the street, and they're trying to plow the snow. They should have been there 5-6 hours before. And why weren't they? I don't know. So we need to do something, and this is a really good start. I want to thank Alderman Bogdala for spearheading this. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Anyone else from the committee like to speak on item 11?
Yeah, Alderman Fox.
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to comment on Alderperson Bogdala's change of from March 31st to August, I think it's August 31st. I had that circled and I was going to amend it to July 31st, but either way, my thinking was July 31st, and then by the beginning of August, we would have the hearing on the new recommendations, and we could make comments or ask for further, clarification, and then we'd have time yet before the snow started up for next year. August 31st is fine. I just want to make a couple comments, and then I have two simple questions to ask. Police ticketing cars, that might be a separate issue, but there are a lot of cars that are covered with snow after a snow emergency, and there's no tickets on the car. Maybe we should up the tickets a little bit from $10 and, make sure the police are going around and ticketing cars, or maybe we need, the aldermen to do that. I don't know. But the cars have to get off the street when the plows come around. In my district with the narrow streets and everything, people are parking up in the grass in front of their houses because there may not be any place else to park. Some don't even have driveways. But they do get their cars off the street, or most of them do, I should say. And my questions that I would like answered, I would like to know how the effect on the different layers or inches of ice and snow with putting down the salt. There comes a time with temperature and, maybe 6 inches of snow that, you wouldn't want to put the salt on top of 6 inches. I don't really know. So I think I'd like those questions answered. And my question for now is, how many of our new trucks that we ordered are on the street during the snow run right now?
So I can answer on the trucks. The short answer is none. We have 13 trucks on order. 7 of those are single axle, 6 are tandem, and then 2 that were destroyed in the riots. Those trucks to be ordered. However, we are told that the plant where they build the trucks has been closed 4 times due to COVID. So our trucks were supposed to be here in January. However, we'll get the 6 tandems eventually, and then the 7 single axle, but we are told probably not till the end of this year. And that might actually be assuming too much, and then the 2 new trucks, depending on where they are. So the short answer is none of them are out there, but I think that's part of the study, because we have 49 pieces of equipment that are for snow plowing, and 24 of them are more than 20 years old. So these 15 new trucks will certainly change that. And in conversations, that's one of the reasons we put it off till there. I'm not sure part of your question was ticketing with the police, but I think the chief had put out, they wrote 477 tickets for snow emergency, and those are $30 tickets. If you choose to raise that, you certainly can do that, but that is the current aspect there. And as far as when they mix calcium chloride with salt or brine, I'm going to have to defer to Shelley on that.
This is Shelley. You are correct. There is a point in time where just straight salt doesn't work. It's usually around 10 degrees. We use calcium chloride liquid form, as well as we do use pellets that are mixed in our salt, which brings that acting temperature down to anywhere between, I believe, negative 10 to 15. Certainly, we can send, when we do the study, we can give you certain information. There are guidelines as to the amount of snow per pound of salt, as you probably see on your bags when you do your sidewalk. It kind of is in relation to a roadway as well. Certainly something we can provide in that assessment will be conducting.
Okay, thank you. I was unaware that we had not received any new trucks, and we were operating with, the equipment we had from last year and the year before. Okay, I'll be waiting for the report. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. I think maybe this is for Shelley. But with respect to salt, et cetera, and I know that environmentals that allow us or disallow us to use the beet juice, we could just get an update on that, or if you have any words on that, Shelley.
You're talking about our anti-ice. There are certain parameters in which anti-ice works and doesn't. Extremely not during the temperatures we're facing right now. I believe in the manual, the snow and ice manual, there's a flow chart in one of the last pages, but we certainly can give you more information on how that works.
Right, because that's still a possibility, again, dependent upon temperatures, right?
Correct. We still use anti-ice in our procedures. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. One other question too, and I hope it deals with the pulls. I've got a couple of calls about alleys, and I know some are more difficult than others. But if we go full, no parking on the street, lots of people, their only access to their garage or to a place to park is through the alley. And I don't know just how that works. If it's a one-off and you handle them after the plow, or just what we're doing with their alleys right now. So I'll look for that in the report. That's fine. You have to try to answer it now. Have a comment on it. Anything on that, Shelley, or not?
Alleys in our manual right now are the lowest priority, so they're usually done after a full plow of 4 inches or more, or accumulation. Okay. Certainly something that can be evaluated as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any further comments on item 11? Any further comments? Seeing none, we will need a motion.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman? Just another comment, on this. Again, I want to be very clear that what we're doing here. My anticipation is that, and my expectation is that I'm expecting to see an improvement and an increase in service level to the citizens of Kenosha. There's no way that anybody's going to tell me that what we're doing is fair and equitable across the board to all the citizens of Kenosha. So this is not, I want to make sure that at least from my standpoint, this is not just a pencil work exercise. And I'm not saying that city administrator is going to do that. I've stated I have full confidence in him. In fact, I told this to someone already. If this was anybody but him, I'd be asking for an outside independent review, because I wouldn't have faith that we would get, I think, the results that I think we all expect and we need to see. So having said that, again, we cannot have another situation like that last Sunday. And however we get there in order to improve that is what we need to do. And I think some of this also includes it's only February 8th. We got possibly another two months of snow. So I also want to make very clear that we're gonna look at this. This committee is saying that, at least from what I'm hearing so far, and those who haven't spoken, I've talked to you personally. We all recognize this is a problem that needs to be fixed. Having said that, given the fact that we got 2 months to go, we can't just say, "Well, don't worry, folks. I know it was bad again, but we'll have a report out in August and we'll fix it all then." This also has to start now. There has to be additional oversight. There needs to be better decision making when we're doing what we need to do, because we can't go another 2 months with the issues that we're experiencing. So I just want to throw the gauntlet down right now, because I hope that to my committee members would agree that if we have another episode like we had that Sunday, I sure as heck am not going to go back to my constituents and say, just wait till August, wait till next year. Well, then we'll get it right. That's not going to fly. So my expectation is that, yes, we're going to complete a review. Yes, we're all saying that we need to look at salt in a more efficient and equitable manner. But we also need to take care of 2021 as well, because we still got a long way to go. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve version 5 of the resolution to include a change of the date on or before March 30th to on or before August 30th, 2021.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Fox will second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none, we will vote on this via a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. Chair votes aye.